Deontay Bay, peace and blessings to the collective. Rahu in the eighth, Rahu in the eighth, Ketu in the second. What is this axis speaking to? You feel me? What is the purpose of this alignment? How does one properly manage both ends of the spectrum in order to turn the enricher out of the ocean of their life that they desire, right? So, Rahu in the eighth, right? Rahu in the eighth shows that a person has obsession, overinflation, and a distortion in perception in regards to the eighth house matters, right? So, what does the eighth house deal with? First of all, right? The eighth house, to me, I call the eighth house, it's like the war zone of the mind. It's like just being thrown on the battlefield. You're pretty much in a mode of survival, fight or flight. You know what I'm saying? Unrest. There's an insecurity as far as potentially being harmed, damaged, injured, or even suffering death. It's uncertainty within the eighth house. You know what I'm saying? You're not necessarily knowing how you're going to make it through. You're just on high alert, and you're just pretty much basically in a state of fight or flight. And Rahu magnifies these themes and experiences when present within the eighth house, right? So Rahu in the eighth house, it can showcase a person at least within their own mind. They in regards to their traumas, especially the upbringing. You know what I'm saying? It could indicate, some real form of trauma, sexual abuse. Not always, you know what I'm saying, but more often than not, it's like a psychological trauma, real psychological traumas, experiences with humiliation, experiences with degradation, experiences in relation to being done wrong, or that take a deep seat within the psyche, especially if it's a lot of planets in connection with the eighth house, right? But it's these type of experiences that can make a person somewhat feel ostracized and pretty much have like a Dr. Evil type ego. That's crazy. Who is Dr. Evil? That's the nigga off of who is Dr. Evil? I'm trying to figure out who the fuck is that? Is that like that's not Doofenshmirtz from Phineas and Ferb. I'm going off on a crazy tangent right now. So fuck everything I just said in relation to that. Rahu in eighth, it can have someone on their toes, real secretive, private, at least with certain aspects of their life. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like it's always a theme of, you know, believing that other people are apt to betray or try to destroy, or you know what I'm saying, other people are apt to try to usurp me, having anger for other individuals or feeling like you was done wrong, or you know what I'm saying. It's like it could be a constant warfare in relation to really being able to rest and be comfortable within itself. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's just petty, like even if oh, this bitch thinks she better than me, or she fucked your baby dad, or you know what I'm saying? Even if it's just petty shit like that, it ain't necessarily got to be some intense life or death situations type shit, right? But it can always be, it can be a theme, an overinflated theme within the mind that, A, I'm not safe, I'm not comfortable, I have to find some protections or some strengthenings of the self. Now, the good side of uh, Rahu in the eighth can give a person a real interest in pursuing deeper level sciences, deeper level practices, disciplines, metaphysical understandings, abilities, occult knowledge, and etc. You know what I'm saying? They can make a person a real beast or a real fiend, a real fanatic within these areas. You know what I'm saying? Like real witches and real warlocks. You know what I'm saying? Excuse me. Have real knowledge, real acumen in relation to these types of practices. And even it don't even have to always be like a cult. Like it could be fuck martial arts, or uh shit, cybersecurity type studies, or you know what I'm saying. Just the theme is basically they have weapons. They have weapons and methods to protect the self and harm others if need be. That's what Rahu in the eighth searches for. You know what I'm saying? That's what Rahu in the eighth is obsessed with obtaining. You know, the weapon can come through any form. Though the weapon, like I said, it could be martial arts, or a person who has a lot of guns, or on the occult side of things, or you might even know certain medicinal combinations to poison people, or you know what I'm saying, whatever it is. But you're basically just searching for protection. You're searching for security within your own person. And Rahu and the eighth, they pretty much know how to garner that. They also can be manipulators on the downside. They also know how to position themselves in other people's lives, especially the spouse, in order to basically milk the spouse. Might not necessarily always have an evil intention around that, but Rahu in the eighth can often be taken care of, or you know, like I said, yeah, basically milking the spouse. You know what I'm saying? Basically getting spoiled in a way and whatnot. They know how to usurp, or to get or garner other people's resources. You feel me? And they know how to use forms of psychological warfare and manipulation to ensure that those particular sources from other people are maintained, right? Rahu in the eighth can also give a person a like it can give a person interest in things that deal with the forbidden, that which is taboo, that which is not to be uh consumed, spoken of, talked about, yada yada yada, etc. Underground themes in places and underworld type shit or whatnot. So, in regards to that, Rahu and eighth, especially when it comes to the sexuality, it can become very distorted, and it can make a person a very have very intense uh experiences related to sexuality, especially if it's more a focus on the eighth house than it is the second. You know what I'm saying? And it often can be somewhat criminal thoughts and experiences, like low life underworld type shit. Like I was saying earlier, I believe, like Rahu in the eighth can indicate somebody who has suffered, uh, sexual trauma in the early life, or growing up, or at some point throughout the life or whatnot, right? Rahu in the eighth. Um, what else? Well, let's go to Ketu in a second, and I'll spin back to Rahu in the eighth. Ketu in the second is showcasing somebody that, for some reason, when I see this, is someone who could have been either you were kicked out of the home at an earlier age, or the family situation was just so toxic to where you just couldn't withstand the environment in the area. You know what I'm saying? It's just too much for you. You could often try to run away or just jump out into the world, you know what I'm saying, and start life anew somewhere else. You feel me? Just get it on your own, get it out the mud, or to try to run with a spouse, or to run to somebody else to get away from your family type shit. And the reason that's usually a theme that I notice is because, like, the second house deals with your resources, your income, your accumulation, the things that you consume, you know what I'm saying, the things that contribute to and beautify your first house, which is your own body, mind, physical will, and experience. And your family, especially your immediate family growing up, like, they do all those things for you. So when K2 is placed in the second house, it can basically show a breaking away from the attachment of your comforts, the attachments of your consumptions. It's a breaking away. It's you know what I'm saying, a stripping away of being in a comfort zone. Because I ain't gonna lie, K2 in a second, it can showcase an individual who doesn't necessarily need too much out of life, or it can show an individual who has a degree of laziness about themselves. It can show an individual who you know what I'm saying, as long as they fed, as long as they clothed, and they fucked, they're not necessarily immediately threatened. They know how to be content. You know what I'm saying? They know, but Rahu in the eighth, it pushes you outside of your comfort zone. It's going to present situations in connection to those who basically support you. It's going to present situations to where you just cannot be there. It's just not psychologically uh it's just not psychologically handleable, if that's a word, right? For you or whatnot, you feel me? Or your family can completely just say fuck you, we don't like you, we don't, you know what I'm saying, we don't align with your thoughts, your beliefs, or whatever. You could just have a terrible family and they just kick you the fuck out, and you just forced to get it on your own type shit, right? So K2 in a second, you have to also watch what you consume. It's going to function differently in the different signs, and especially if it's sitting with a planet or a couple planets or whatever. But K2 in a second, be careful with consumptions and pleasures, which K2 in the second, it can show that, either you have a mastery of, uh, knowing that you have to watch what you eat, knowing that there's certain substances that you can't come in contact with, if or eventually K2 is gonna tighten your ass up to where, you feel me, you pretty much have to get out of that mindset of, mindless comfort. This is not, the lifetime to just relax and take it easy. Uh K2 in this second, it can show a compulsive habit, over a consumption of something. It might be food of some sort, or if it's not a food, it might be a substance of some sort, or it could be anything. But it's a compulsive habit, and it will come back to bite you later if it's not handled appropriately. Rahu in the eighth. What else? I'll probably touch on the other aspects on the chart, but I'm really just going off the head, flowing off the head right now. Uh, what else can I say about Rahu in the eighth? Okay, I guess, how does one balance out this axis, right? So for this particular axis, you don't want to get too deep into the eighth house way of thought. You really don't want to get overinflated, or you don't want to overly embody the perception of, I have to protect self. You know what I'm saying? It's a war zone out here. People are this, people are that, people are shady. You know what I'm saying? Always watch behind your back. Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer. You don't want to you don't want to overly believe those types of thoughts and themes, because it can pretty much turn you to a person who sees conflict, or who sees problem where there's no problem. It can really drive a person insane. Uh, always feeling like you gotta watch over your back, or always feeling like, uh, you're traumatized, or always feeling like you gotta get your get back, you gotta get your vengeance, or you don't want to have too much of that. You gotta go back to K2, the second house. It deals with certain pleasures, certain comforts. You know what I'm saying? Certain benefits of the family, certain things in regards to the beautification of the body. To enliven the life, to add sweetness to the life, to add sweetness to the personality, to add sweetness and comfort to the existence. These are very important, you know what I'm saying? So K2 in a second, you know what I'm saying? I would say it's good to make sure that you buy yourself nice things, buy yourself nice clothes. You don't have to overspend or go crazy with it, but buy yourself nice things, buy yourself nice clothes. You know what I'm saying? Make sure you consume things that actually contribute to the health of your body. You know what I'm saying? Save and conserve resources as well. Don't be too much on the eighth house in with believing that it's all about scarcity and you don't got it like that. Like live a little bit with K2 in a second, right? Live a little bit, not extremely, but just a little bit, right? Uh, but at the same time, with K2 in the second, you're going to be forced to. It's not even a thing of uh having to. You're going to be forced to, or you're just gonna, you know, be out here. You're going to be forced to step outside of your comfort zone. You're going to be forced to disconnect from familiar environments or family, people that you can fall back on. You know what I'm saying? Stable environment. You're going to have to get into spaces within this physical reality and within your mind to where you don't know what's going on. You know what I'm saying? Danger is present. Danger situations or potentialities are at bay, and you pretty much are just going to have to discipline yourself and work through it. Do not cut corners with this Rahu in the eighth, as it can really get you into some shit that you don't want to get into. You know what I'm saying? Because Rahu in the eighth can make a person real reactionary emotionally, especially when the buttons are pushed, or especially when they feel tested, or when they feel cornered, or when they feel like some shit could go down or whatnot. Um, what else am I saying? Do not cut corners with Rahu in the eighth. Do not. You feel me? Do not. This is like the position to where uh a person you could try to steal or usurp or take something that's not yours in order to preserve your own self. You could try to harm somebody else, or a, what would mitigate this? What mitigates any Rahu placement? I feel like Mercury, as Rahu becomes Stambhana when it's conjunct Mercury, which basically is frozen. You know what I'm saying? But not just Mercury, Saturn as well. You know what I'm saying? Because Saturn, it prevents Rahu from cutting the corners that it wants to cut. You feel me? It makes the process of discipline, or the focus, more elongated and more deliberate. So you know gives a person more of a foundational grounding or a root within a particular area, when Saturn is in some way influencing Rahu. What else? Rahu in the eighth. That's pretty much it. I'll just post the rest. Anything else that come up to me in the comments. But that's just a basic analysis of this particular axis. Or I guess I can go into remedies. Remedies, things that I would recommend for Rahu in the eighth. I would recommend psychological studies of quantum physics and psychology. You know what I'm saying? I would recommend, because Rahu can kind of become you know overly interested in the metaphysics, or the flavor for warfare. I know I'm not conveying that the way that I want to convey that, but what I'm saying basically is, right, I would recommend studies like psychology, quantum physics, you feel me, deep level things that kind of have like a Saturnian, or like a neutral appeal to it. It's not evil, not good, it's not dark, it's not light, it's just science. You feel me? And it's giving uh genuine blueprint in a ninth house way of the functioning or the mechanics of the universe, you know what I'm saying, in one's own mind. and how to alleviate or overcome certain issues that might be present within the being. You know, ninth house shit, right? I would recommend ninth house things to alleviate, you know, certain potentialities that can arise within the eighth. Uh, definitely deep, definitely meditation. You know what I'm saying? Any meditative practices, you feel me? Mantra japa, any practices that cause a person to really be still within the midst of war and to purify the mind, to purify, the aura, the energetic body. You know what I'm saying? To not let oneself be overcome with negative thoughts or influences. To be strict in those type of things as well. So, Deontay B.